going on, guys? Alex Serve 814 EDC, and today I'm ready to do my full review on the Civivi Knives Cogent. Now, this is a knife that actually got gifted to me from my awesome wife for my birthday back in January. I had no idea she was getting this for me. She actually had already given me a present, and I thought that was like the only thing I was getting. So this really took me by surprise when she gave this to me on my actual birthday. Got a little gift bag, and I had no idea what it was, and I looked in and I saw a Civivi pouch, and I was like, ooh, a new knife, all excited, everything like that. And then honestly, when I looked at the little tag on the side that says what model it was, I saw that it was a Cogent, and for this, some reason, I could not remember what the Cogent looked like. So as I was opening up and, pulling the soft shell pouch out and unzipped it, I honestly was like racking my brain trying to think like, what on earth is the Cogent? What does it look like? And then when I saw it, I was like, oh, that's the Cogent. This came out last year, and it was in kind of the initial wave of Civivi's like button lock craze, where they released like a bunch of new models with the button lock. And it was a model that I always like was interested in, but I just never, I guess, got around to picking up. I know this came out around the same time as the first run of the Chevalier, I think Chevalier. And I ended up getting that one instead. And I wish I would have gotten this because this is a really good knife. Arguably the best button lock I've ever had in the collection or handled. I have fidgeted with this thing so much. I've carried it a ton, and just for having it for a month or so, this is one of my favorite knives in the collection, again, because my wife got it for me. But frankly, it's a very, very good knife, hands down. Just in all aspects of it, very, very fidgety, very comfortable, great materials, great ergos, great carry. Pretty much everything that Civivi builds and packs together for a low price of like under 75 bucks, I think it was. So yeah, just a really special knife, and I'm ready to do my full review on it. But before we get started, there are a ton of different variations of this. So before we get into the actual review, category by category, we're going to check out all the different versions on here. I'm using White Mountain Knives, which the all black version is not available on right now, but pretty much every other variation of this knife is. So you have a couple different, you have a Burgundy G10 handle, and all of these have 14C28N blades, either in black wash or bead blast finish. So you have a Burgundy G10 handle with a half serrated black blade. You have a G Borscha wood handle with a black blade. You have a brown micarta version with a silver bead blast blade. You have a black micarta with a silver bead blast blade, and you have a green micarta with a a bead blast blade. You have basically this version, but with a half serration. You have the green micarta and Damascus blade. You have the half serrated black blade with Jade G10. You have the, just normal blade with, normal black blade with green G10 or Jade G10. You have this version. You have a half serrated black blade with green micarta. And last but certainly not least, you have a black blade with purple G10. So quite a few options, and, literally every option but this one is currently in stock on White Mountain Knives. So I will leave a link to the whole page down below if you guys are interested in going and checking them out. But getting started with our review category. First up is materials. So you have a clip point style blade, 14C28N. You guys can see it comes with a really nice edge. I love the way Civivi finishes their 14C. They just do a really, really good job on it. I don't know if you guys can pick it up or not, but right there on the flipper tab says 14C. But just a nice thorough black blade. I'm not the biggest fan of clip points, but in certain knives they just look really, really good. And this is one of those aspects to where it just looks menacing. You have some jimping up top there, of course the Civivi logo. The button, you have black G10 with some nice serrations in there, some little speed hole type things. Nice line down the middle. You have holes for reversing your loop over style deep carry pocket clip. Again, the same serrations over here as you have on the button lock side. Some standoffs back here. As for internal milling, there are like 5 or 6 little pockets on, looks like both sides. So it's pretty lightweight for, again, what the knife is. Some specs for you guys. Let me pull it up here. So overall length of 7.88 inches. You have a closed length of 4.41 inches, blade length of 3.47 inches, blade thickness of 0.12 inches, plain edge, flat grind, and it comes in at 3.82 ounces. But honestly, it feels lighter than that. It does not feel like a knife that is approaching 4 ounces, but materials is getting a 5. 14C in either micarta or G10 are like a bread and butter combination for Civivi. They do a really good job at those sort of combinations. Then you add in a really good button lock flipper action with a loop over style deep carry clip. Really kind of hard to beat, so easy 5. Next up is aesthetic. Now, honestly, this knife has really grown on me since I've had it in. I don't think it's the best looking knife in the world, but I think it's really, really nice. Again, I'm not a huge fan of clip point style blades, but when done correctly and on the right knife, a certain type of knife, they really speak to me. And this is one of them. I just love, it's a nice thin grind, thin behind the edge, just a nice clip point style blade. It honestly is. And then for the handle, I mean, you pretty much have a little bit of a ramp right here for your thumb, but pretty much straight back, straight right here, and then kind of tapers in. And then tapers in even more for a finger groove. And then you can use this as a choil. But again, I'm not going to go on a limb and say it's the best looking knife in the world. But I think for, what it is, it's very tactical looking. I think that's kind of cool. So not tactical, but tactical, like, COOL, tactical. But yeah, just really nice. The blade really does it for me. So with that aspect, I'm going to give it a 4.5. Action. This is going to be pretty much a 5, guys. Flipper tab. One thing that I love about the flipper tab is how it is pointed forward like this. It's not straight up and down. It's not like a triangle. It is curved forward, and it has jimping the whole way around it. So you just get a really good purchase. Pull it right down. Push button just works so well. You just kind of land right on the front, bring it right back. You can use the why can't I think of the other name for the push button or a light switch? Thank you. Like a light switch. You guys know I tend to prefer using a push button, but honestly, even a light switch method on this one is not bad because you just land in front and drag your finger back and it just fires right out of there. Now, one thing that I have been super duper impressed with from Civivi is, like I said, I have fidgeted with this thing an absolute ton since I've had it. I have just done this over and over and over and over again. And one thing that really impressed me was it had no blade play. I mean, even now, there might be the slightest wiggle if you really, kind of torque down hard on it. But this thing is locked up super tight, and you get that just drop shut action. Now, there is a tiny bit of blades or a button stick, but honestly, I kind of like it because it kind of has, it's that like kind of haptic feedback, tactical feedback. Now, if it was like really bad and you had to like just shove the thing down so well or so much to, utilize the knife, but I like that because the noises are kind of nice too, which we'll touch on that next with the acoustics. But yeah, just great action, great flipper action. Probably one of the best ways to design a flipper tab on a knife. I just love how it's forward facing and you basically just grab onto it, pull it back or land on it, push it down. And then one other cool thing, because you have the blade exposure here, you can middle finger flick it, which is nice. Kind of a nice little hidden feature of this knife. So I love when, you have knives with only one, in your face sort of deployment method. And then you're like, oh, messing around with it one day, you can reverse flick it. Sometimes you do fire off of it, but most of the time, you just get your middle finger down and pops right out. You can thumb flick it, as you guys like this, or as you guys can see right here, but definitely not as intuitive as the middle finger flick. But all things considered, excuse me, action is getting a 5. Now next up is acoustics. I think it has great acoustics. Honestly, better than I expected considering this is a G10 knife. Just a great knife. I mean, great sounding knife. Open, close, open, close. And you guys can hear, when you get going, you have open, deploying the button, a little bit of stick, close, open, stick, close, open, button, close. And you just get that method going, and it's just like a flurry of sounds, but it sounds really good. And again, G10 is not the most, hot, it doesn't really create too much acoustics when it comes to knives, but I don't know if this one kind of has like the shadow box liners. It has a little bit of cutout, and it kind of just lets the sound travel. It's really, really good, and I have to give this one a 5, which is definitely not, 5s are not very common on my review sheets. I can only think of a handful so far that I've done that have gotten a 5 in the acoustics category. So this is, big props to the Cogent for sounding so good. Next up is ergos. Now again, it's a decent sized knife. I mean, 3.5 inch stub or 3.5 inch blade. Handle length is 4.41 inches. So it's a medium sized knife, but I can get all 4 fingers on here very, very easily. The flipper tab and this finger sort of indentation right here provide for a really nice natural restriction point. Pointer finger goes right here, locks right into place. Rest of your fingers follow suit. Either your thumb can land back here on this little ramp with jimping, or it can land out here with some jimping. And I like this jimping. It's finely done, so it's aggressive enough to get a handhold, but not aggressive enough to like eat into your fingers or anything like that. But very, very comfortable that way. I have plenty of room back here to kind of spread out and get more comfortable. The pot clip is a loop over style deep carry clip, of course, and it's sitting proud of the knife. But honestly, most of the hot spotness is right there, peeking out from your hand, so it's not in your palm anywhere, getting gripped upon, if that makes any sense. And then of course you can move up here for this choil. Now you are super close to the blade edge right there, so I would be aware if you are using it. Just be careful when you're push cutting or whatever you may be doing. But it's also very comfortable, and that gets you up off that hot spot or pocket clip even more, which creates even less of a hot spot. Your thumb can get right out here, which with that nice thin grind, this is a pretty good slicer for a clip point. Now, clip points can be kind of hit or miss with how well they slice through things with limited blade at the front, but this thing cuts really well. Hammer grip works well, saber grip works well, reverse hammer grip works well. If you have to get into a fight with it, not the worst knife in the world. You have a nice sort of pommel area to put your thumb onto for like aggressiveness, I guess. If you want to do some 7-Eleven gas station knife fights with Kevin over your Slurpee. But G10, I really like the little texturing they do here, the indentations, everything just really, really fits in the hand well. Maybe the choil could have been a little bit more choily, but honestly, for all things considered, I got to give this one a 5 too. Next up is carry. Now carry is, it's a Civivi with their typical loop over style deep carry clip that goes to the butt end of the knife. So this thing carries super duper well. Now you do have a flipper tab with some pretty decent jimping, so you do have to be aware of going down beside it to get change, chapstick, things like that are floating at the bottom of your pants pocket and coming up out and maybe pulling the knife with you. I haven't had that issue, and I've carried this knife quite a bit in my jeans pocket, as well as tossing it in my pocket of my shorts and the pocket of my sweatpants. This thing has been carried around my apartment quite a few times. And it's like 3.82 ounces, but it does not feel like a knife that is, gaining in on 4 ounces. It feels honestly closer to 3. So I think they did a really good job with the weight distribution on this. It just feels, feels good. And clip is reversible, so you can carry it lefty if you are a lefty and you want to do that. But can't really think of anything that I have complaining for the Cogent and the carryability, so it's getting a 5. I knew that this was going to rate pretty well, but honestly, I didn't know it was going to rate this well. But that brings me to my final category of price point / value and would I recommend this knife. Guys, I can recommend this knife every single day and twice on Sunday. To me, this is probably one of the best models Civivi has ever produced, that I've handled at least. It just, the fit and finish on it, the button lock, the flipper action, the reverse flick, ergos are comfortable, carryability is really, really good. Thin, slicey edge, great materials for a great price point. I don't see how you can beat that. Basically, if you guys like the way this looks and are a fan of button locks, I think you're going to be a big fan of this knife specifically. But according to White Mountain Knives, which again, this knife is out of stock on, this is $69.50, so sub $70 for 14C28N, black G10, great flipper action with a great button lock, super duper comfortable, great cutting ability, great ergos, great carryability, everything put together. How can you not give that a 5? Civivi has kind of been king of the budget game for quite a while, and it's because of knives like this that have flown under the radar from people like me, but then they get their hands on them and they're like, this is a damn good knife. So I can recommend it so much. I really do appreciate it or enjoy it, I guess. Someday I hope to see maybe an aluminum version. I think that would be cool. Sometimes Civivi takes their popular models, especially this one with really tons of G10 and tons of micarta options, and make it into an aluminum model. That would be really cool to slap some black, gray, green, purple, blue, red aluminum scales on it, and even keep the 14C. I would buy one of those, or even maybe someday we can take this over and turn this into a Wii model for maybe some titanium, 20 CV, things like that. But yeah, easy 5. And let me just make sure. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Let me count these up real quick. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Ooh, it was so close to being perfect. The Cogent gets a 34.5, which for me lands in the fantastic category. It is the 3rd highest knife I've rated so far. So you have the Vosti Dachshund, which I have my only perfect knife, 35 out of 35. Then the EMP Pulse OTF, I also gave it 34.5 out of. So it's sliding in as a tie for second. I think it's absolutely worth it. It's a very deserving spot for this knife. And yeah, I'm just glad I have it in. It's a very special knife from my wife, and she did really good on what she got me. So that was my full review on the Civivi Knives Cogent. I'm going to wrap this up now, but let me know down below, do you guys have one of these? All black, jade, micarta, purple? Let me know down below. I would love to hear what you guys have to say. But I'm going to wrap this up now, so thank you guys again so much for watching. I greatly appreciate each and every single one of you guys. I hope you have a fantastic rest of your morning, evening, day, night, whenever you're watching this, and I'll talk to you guys in the next one. Peace.